Hello and welcome to the Great Lakes Power Stroke FX4 YouTube channel. Some of you are going to be new here. We commonly make videos about tractors, excavators, moving big things with heavy-duty trucks, camping, off-roading, some modifying HD trucks. But today, I want to talk a little bit about the mid-size truck market. I recently became interested in picking up a mid-size truck to have a smaller footprint, save on fuel economy, all the good reasons why you'd want to have a mid-size truck. And I am amazed at what I'm seeing in the mid-size truck market. Lots of innovation. I wanted to talk about that and maybe sift through the options and what is going to make the most difference to you as mid-size truck buyers, and also let you know what might work the best for me. And for certain reasons, maybe it'll work best for you, but maybe it won't work best for you, and that's okay. I have a decent amount of background in off-roading and daily driving full-size heavy-duty trucks, as you can see in these pictures. I do love to camp out of them, hunt out of them, explore, go on road trips, things like that. These are all things that actually would be almost better done in a mid-size truck. So I want to talk about specifically the advantages that a mid-size truck could bring to you and the details, the specs and whatnot, what are going to matter to you when you're buying one of these vehicles and shopping for them. I learned quite a bit from the study of all these different models in making this video. And the biggest word of this whole thing is innovation. And innovation can go both ways. It can bring in new clientele, and it can shove out people who are used to a status quo. And I think that has happened with a lot of different parts of this segment. And then one has kind of rose up to be a new star in kind of an older school methodology, where a lot of them have gone to be very much new technology. I want to talk really quickly about what that matters to you. Things like direct injection are very commonly involved in many of the new engines that are coming out these days. There are many downsides to direct injection. One of them is carbon coking of the intake valve and intake manifold, intake ports, and that needs to be cleaned out at about 75,000 to 100,000 miles, or every 75,000 to 100,000 miles. Also, the high-pressure fuel system that is used for direct injection has a lot more failure modes and parts that need to be replaced potentially down the road. The other thing is, with cost being an issue, and all these things sound expensive, don't they? They got to cut costs somewhere to have these engines meet emissions and also be at a price point that they can afford to build them and sell them to you. So expect the complexity of these modern engines to cause long-term durability issues across the board. The one exception is going to be the 3.6-liter V6 in the Gladiator. It's really an old-school engine, but it also has a lot of downsides compared to these more modern engines. We will talk about each one of those individually and what they're going to mean to you as we go, but I wanted to get that out of the way before we even started. Before we even begin these are my own opinions. No one has given me any money to come up with any of these opinions. None of these auto manufacturers know who I am. I'm still a small YouTube channel. So that's important for you guys to know. The other thing is several of these vehicles have two-wheel drive options and short wheelbase options with different cab configurations. I'm kind of focusing just on four-wheel drive and something that's applicable to my market. My viewers generally are into camping. They have a family generally. They want four-wheel drive. They want to have a body to put things in. So we're targeting four-door. They're all going to be shorter beds, but four-wheel drive trucks in this. And the other thing I'm not going to cover is price. The thing is, the price is kind of subjective. There's 1,000 different ways you can configure each one of these vehicles, and you need to really go to your dealership once you kind of are armed with the information you want to have. Get it down to a couple trucks that you might want to get, and let's just say you want to get four-wheel drive, you want to get dual zone climate control, those kind of things. You can go to the dealer and be like, this is what I want. What's it going to cost me? So instead of me wasting your time trying to give you all these approximations of prices, go to the dealer and get the real information so that you're not being led astray by me. I put the Nissan Frontier out front in this because I think that it's attracting the original buyers of the midsize truck. There is less modern innovation going on here. It's a more simple truck. It is made for the existing customers of the midsize market. No extra innovation where it doesn't need to go. It has a extremely well-known VQ Series V6 engine that I think people know is a pretty good engine. The Pro 4X model has a 3.7 axle ratio with a 54.4 to 1 crawl ratio, which is excellent for crawling and whatnot. They make a perfectly well-rounded Models 2 with 21-gallon fuel tank being standard. It definitely is a very attractive profile. The Pro 4X has a standard e-locker for the rear, which is super duper cool. Comes in a wide array of colors. They all look pretty good. It is a pretty short wheelbase at 26.1 inches. Definitely a shorter truck. There are long bed and short bed options, and a long bed is going to help increase your wheelbase, which is going to make it tow better. However, you should know that the long wheelbase has a lower rated towing capacity because they didn't increase the spring rate of the vehicle, and the longer wheelbase weighs more. So know that going into it, that if you're towing anything that's on the upper cusp of what this thing's rated to tow, I think the longer wheelbase would be in your favor. However, and that is available in Pro 4X and all the other stuff, but know going in that it has a slightly lower, by about 100-pound towing capacity. I mentioned the VQ Series V6. This is a direct injected 3.8 liter, which is a big V6, 4-valve per cylinder, dual overhead cam, pretty modern engine with direct injection, keep that in mind. So a fairly modern engine, and what I hear is pretty stoutly built, but it has direct injection. 310 horsepower at 6,400 RPM, so it's a pretty high-strung engine. And also 281 foot-pounds at 4,400 RPM. Keep in mind that this is going to be a lot like the 3.6 Pentastar. Good power, well-rounded power. When you put weight behind it, you're going to really feel it because it doesn't have the bottom-end torque of these turbocharged options from other brands. Now, the Ford Ranger. The Ford Ranger has a pretty exciting lineup, definitely very well-rounded for a lot of different people. They have a base model that looks really good. They have a FX4 package that looks pretty good. The other models besides the Raptor have an 18-gallon fuel tank from what my research found. The base models, like I said, look pretty darn good, and that goes all the way up to the Raptor. The Raptor is pretty sweet. It has front and rear E-locking differentials, which is awesome, some fancy suspension, and a 20.8-gallon fuel tank because of all that fuel the 3-liter twin-turbo V6 is going to burn. And it has slightly lower towing capacity. Don't let its small size fool you. The 2.3-liter EcoBoost, I've driven them, 270 horsepower, 310 foot-pounds of torque. They are torquey little suckers. They have a lot of torque down low, and the 10-speed transmission is going to obviously be able to keep that power band right where you need to have it at all times. I definitely don't think that the base model is going to be lacking for anything that you're doing. The optional 2.7 EcoBoost has 315 horsepower and 400 foot-pounds of torque. With that motor in it, it's going to rip. It's definitely going to be a very fun vehicle to drive, going to tow extremely well. The 2.7 and the 3.0 have a pretty good track record. The 2.3 has an extremely good track record for being a tough engine. Again, these are all direct injected engines. Keep that in mind. Almost an extra 100 horsepower with the 3.0 EcoBoost for the Raptor model. 405 horse, 430 foot-pounds of torque. That is going to be a fun vehicle to drive for sure. You're going to be able to hang it sideways if you want to play around off-road. And as far as I know, these are really stoutly designed engines. They're very modern engine design, as you can see. They have a bottom cap that bolts on the bottom end to hold the mains together. Definitely a very strong engine, and I don't know of that many failure modes on them. The thing is that any of these modern engines, keep in mind, they're going to need to have service in their higher mile lifespans, and maybe they need to have their engines replaced a little bit sooner than you're used to doing with a more antiquated engine, but you're getting extreme performance in that time period. This like a Raptor Ranger is going to blow the doors off of a 60s, 70s muscle car. So all those cars that everyone thinks are, quick with big V8s, this thing is going to absolutely rip. I really like how Ford does their towing guides. They're so easy to read. A lot of these other brands, when I was doing this research, you can't even find on the Chevy, and I believe it was the Toyota website, exact towing specs for each one. They just give you a maximum tow rating. So I've always liked how Ford lays out their website. I've always found it very useful from a research standpoint to get the data you want to have. But they make this super simple. The 2.3 and the 2.7 have standard 373 gear ratios. If it's two-wheel drive, it's got 7,500 pounds of towing. And if it's four-wheel drive, it has 7,500 pounds of towing. And the Raptor has 5,510 pounds of towing. They make this super easy. Boy, the Toyota Tacoma, the most hated update that I've ever seen on the internet in a really long time. Maybe ever is a big word, but in a long time. I think they look really good. The base models look really good. The higher-end ones look really good. There's a couple problems in their lineup, but we'll talk about them. But know that they were always the reasonable option, the reliable option, the known quantity option for people. And I think that tap on the back of the engineers who did the work. They put together something that is ready for the modern world. The problem is I think a lot of buyers of the Tacoma were not ready for a modernized version of a Tacoma, and it happened really suddenly. So know that going into this analysis. I think that this one is the most hated, but I think that the hate's a little bit strong. We'll talk about a couple problems in this lineup right now. The four-door short bed version has 131.9-inch wheelbase, decent-sized wheelbase, going to tow pretty well. The base models look really, really nice, and I learned something with this. They make a pre-runner version. Here in Michigan, you never see this. I guess this is really popular in the desert down south where you don't need to have four-wheel drive, but you get a four-wheel drive looking Toyota Tacoma. I guess it's been a very common model that I didn't even know existed, so I learned something with this, this little video research that I did. Toyota came out with a thoroughly modern 2.4-liter dual overhead cam, 4-valve, direct injected inline 4. This is the engine that I think people weren't ready for. The SR model gets 228 horsepower, but the rest are 278 horsepower, 310 foot-pounds of torque. This is going to be a fairly torquey, modern, turbocharged, direct-injected engine. There is a hybrid version, which is only one available in the higher-end models, which I think is where a lot of the hate is. 325 horsepower, 465 foot-pounds of torque for the hybrid. The problem is right here. The Pro 4 model, people expect to buy that and have a awesome off-road beast. They don't want to have a hybrid in their awesome off-road beast because they want to go off-grid and they want to go do more extreme things than they want to have technology in their vehicle for. I think that is the biggest problem with this lineup, and I'm sorry to say it, but I really think that a lot of people who were Pro 4 fans have been ostracized with this modern version not having a non-hybrid available in those higher trims. I think it was a huge mistake. So the SR model, the SR5 Extra Cab, and the pre-runner are all on leaf springs, where the rest of them are on coil rear suspension. Should that matter to you? I like leaf springs. That wouldn't bother me at all, but I'm not sure that I'm going to be the buyer of an SR5 Extra Cab, a pre-runner, or an SR. I would be getting the coil model. 25 and 26 is 6,500 pounds of towing, and 6,000 for the Max, which is the hybrid. Know that it actually lost towing capacity by about 300 pounds from the prior generation when it had the V6. So I think that that's another source for sore thoughts here. There is a silver lining in here for the more old school guys. The TRD Off-Road has an e-locker and a manual trans option and does not have the hybrid engine. So with the off-road model, the TRD off-road model, you can have what you're more used to as a more normal buyer like me if you don't want to have that added technology of the hybrid system in your vehicle. The Chevy Colorado, when they first came to the United States, I really wanted one of these blue ZR2s with a 2.8-liter Duramax. I was super jazzed about that truck. Since the Duramax has been removed, probably from poor sales in the United States, unfortunately, diesels are not a huge fan of especially smaller vehicle buyers in the United States. Ironically, my daughter, who just turned 6, without me saying anything about me liking the blue ZR2 Colorados, she decided that she wants to have a blue ZR2 Colorado with the off-road package in Smurf blue is what she calls it. So it's funny that, like daughter, like father here. That generation had a pretty decent looking interior, just like all the other GM of that era vehicles. I mean, not crazy, but it was fine. So back to the modern version of the ZR2, we get 6,000 pounds of towing. It has front and rear e-lockers, and it looks good. It looks really good, but so does the base model. The work truck trim looks awesome. It looks a little bit reptilian. I like that. I think they look really awesome, and you can get the Z71, the 7,700 pounds of towing, which is great. It has a 131-inch wheelbase similar to the rest, so a decent wheelbase for towing. I haven't driven one of these 2.7 inline 4 Turbo Max engines. 310 horse, 430 foot-pounds, and that torque is at 3,000 RPM. This is going to be a very, very, very torquey inline 4. It's probably going to be an excellent truck engine while it runs correctly. As I said before, the caveat here is, how will these trucks be after 200,000 miles? I don't know. I can't tell you that. But I think for the first 150 for sure, you're going to have a very enjoyable, very capable, very fast mid-sized truck that is going to turn tires extremely well off-road, and I think that that's what a lot of people are going for. It's unlikely a lot of my viewers are going to end up being the 200,000-mile owner of these vehicles, so we'll see if they're even still on the road. They may be in the junkyard. We have no idea. The GMC Canyon is basically more of a luxury version of the Colorado. It comes in the Altitude, the Denali, and the AT4, and there's even, right here, an AT4X AEV edition with a winch and sweet-looking wheels. Definitely a pretty tricked-out version. If you're looking for a more luxury mid-size vehicle, that GMC Canyon definitely has you covered. I don't know if we saved the best for last, but we saved something for last. The Jeep Gladiator is a vehicle that I really like, and I would like to own one someday. I think that it combines kind of everything playful and fun about small trucks to get you off-road, to get you out in the sun and have a good time, with a top that comes off that's really cool. It's got a long wheelbase that's great for towing. As you can tell, I'm definitely not a hater of Jeeps. I've spent a lot of time in a Jeep Wrangler. We used to own one. Really, really liked it. It was a JK. The 8-speed transmissions have only made these better. They're not for everyone, though. So we're going to talk about what's going on in this lineup. The Jeep Gladiator has a 137-inch wheelbase, which is longer of the group here, and it's going to mean that maybe parking might be, and turning radius might not be as good. However, towing stability and also potentially climbing grades off-road is going to work into your advantage. Shorter wheelbase is not always better, but it is definitely better for towing. Know that breakover angle is important. However, there is such a thing as too short a wheelbase off-road. Just like the Wrangler, the Gladiator has a wide range of models. The Rubicon and the Mojave are the top-end ones, and they are rated to tow 7,000 pounds. If you opt for a manual transmission, know that you're only going to be rated at 4,000 pounds. The Rubicon, having front and rear lockers, is pretty famous for its off-road capability and disconnecting sway bar. Know that the rest of the models have a 6,000-pound towing capacity, except for the Sport with the Max Tow package has a 7,700-pound towing capacity. So the tried and true 3.6 V6 Pentastar engine, 285 horsepower, 260 foot-pounds of torque. I've driven these a lot. The 8-speed made a huge difference. They also bumped the compression when they went to the 8-speed on the engine, and it definitely has a little bit more gusto. Here's the thing. It is a high RPM screamer if you put any weight behind them, more than a lawnmower trailer with a lawnmower or a four-wheeler, or like a small, maybe just a single side-by-side on a smaller trail. A light trailer. If you went an aluminum trailer, you'd be okay. Know if you start getting more than that, just because it has a 7,700-pound towing capacity, it's going to be really struggling with 7,700 pounds behind it. Know that going into it. All right, the 2-liter turbocharged inline-4, 270 horsepower, 295 foot-pounds. I test drove a two-door Wrangler with one of these engines, and I was super impressed with the amount of bottom-end torque that it has. Really smooth engine. I wanted to hate it, because when I was at FCA, they had a lot of problems during development with this engine. I hear that they may have the oil block fixed. I'm not sure, for the variable valve situation that the engine has. Check into the reliability of the 2.0 before you buy it. Exciting news for the Gladiator. It may be getting the 6.4 Hemi just like the Wrangler got. Now, I think a couple downsides. It has an auto T-case on the Wrangler that can't go into normal two-wheel drive without doing some tuning stuff. And if you wheel in the auto two-wheel drive as opposed to going into 4, thinking that you're okay, they've been pretty well known to blow T-cases out of them because the clutches get hot and slip and melt the T-case, and it ruins it. So we'll see how that goes in this thing, especially with its higher towing capacity. Will they put a normal transfer case in? I don't know. We will see. I think, personally, they should just make a 5.7 Hemi a standard with MDS, just like the half-ton gets, in the Wrangler and in the Gladiator, a standard engine for the towing that it has. That's a way better engine. It's going to get better fuel economy than 3.6 Pentastar. It's just going to be an all-around better setup to use a 5.7 that they're already making in bulk. So it'd be so easy to do. It definitely fits. Instead of swirling around with a 6.4 and having people pay a lot of money for them, putting a 5.7 in there for a marginal upgrade cost would be a huge plus for this vehicle. I can't tell you if it's going to get it, so we're just speculating here. Know that the 4xe Gladiator doesn't exist yet, but in the Wrangler, it has 370 horsepower, 470 foot-pounds of torque, and supposedly 21 miles of battery-only range for use of off-road or on-road. It is a plug-in hybrid. You know, we're talking about tech here. There's a lot of tech going on right now, but I would see a lot of value in being able to creepy crawl around off-road, perhaps going out hunting or taking a trail to where I'm going to get out and go hiking or camping or whatever, and just have some silence. Silence is good. So it's a cost, it's a technology issue, but it could be really interesting to have that kind of tech at your hands. I assume that the Toyota is similar in its capabilities as with the hybrid setup. I can totally see that for value as an outdoorsman. So I'll kind of leave it at that. We'll see if Jeep comes out with that in the Hemi. My midsize truck market conclusions for 2026 are, first of all, you need to go test drive all of them. It is really fun to go and test drive vehicles. And I know dealing with the dealership and dealing with salespeople might not be the most fun thing in the world. Some of them are super cool. So definitely try and find a dealer that you can deal with. You need to see how your body fits into each one of these. They are smaller vehicles. If you have a wide waist, if you have wide shoulders, if you got long arms, long legs, short legs, long torso, short torso, all of these things are going to matter. Big head, small head, overall height, all that good stuff. All of these things are going to matter, and I can't tell you which one of these will work. From what I can tell, all of them are trying to bring an excellent midsize truck to market. I am jazzed about several of them. The Pro 4X from Nissan definitely would be the standout. I mean, me being an off-road guy, obviously. Let's see, I'm just going to name off all the top ones. The ZR2 for the Colorado and the Raptor. But keep in mind that 2.7 is not that far behind the 3.0 in terms of power and torque. That Ranger with a 2.7 is going to rip. But you can save a lot of money and probably save some fuel economy. We go into the 2.3. The Gladiator is the standout in being the solid front axle truck. It is the highest rock crawling capability vehicle and the one that you can abuse and build the most. The Mojave is really cool because it has cast iron knuckles instead of the Rubicon that has aluminum knuckles. So you're getting a stronger axle setup with the Mojave than you are the Rubicon. With the Rubicon comes with a front locker, so you got to decide which one you want. When you're off-roading, having any of these models have decent enough tires to get you going. What really matters is having a locker. Several of these, as I mentioned, have factory lockers, and that is the one that I'm going to for sure gravitate toward because the cost of putting an aftermarket locker in any of these vehicles and finding one for some of these axles, except for the Jeep, might be difficult. So getting it up front, built the way you want it, is the biggest recommendation I can tell you. If you want with a modern vehicle, a modern off-road vehicle, you should buy off the shelf, coming from the manufacturer, in my opinion, as much as you possibly can to get you started off and going. That is a huge takeaway here because a lot of these are going to be very limited year production axles, hard to find parts for, and you might not find a driveline shop that wants to install anything for you. So keep that in mind. The Toyota Tacoma off-road, whether you got a manual trans or an automatic, having the rear locker, and it looks good. It doesn't have a hybrid system, which again, I raved about the possibility of the 4xe. So you can see that I'm kind of split both ways. A little bit of tech here, a little bit of reliability here. I'll tell you right now that my mind goes toward Gladiator and 3.6 Pentastar. However, I know they're not going to be as torquey. So turning tires off-road, towing smaller trailers, you're going to really feel it. From what I read, and see, I'm jumping all over the place here, the 2.4 Colorado engine is a rock-solid, extremely strong skirted block with forged crank, I think forged rods. It's a really stout little motor. We don't know how reliable it's going to be, but we will find out. Or the 2.7, I'm sorry, not 2.4. That sounds very intriguing too. So really all of these have excellent application for many of you. If you want to get out and go biking, throw a dirt bike in the back of the bed, tow a little four-wheeler trailer with you, things like that, tow a small camper or a teardrop camper, all of these are going to have potential for you to get out in the wilderness and do some wheeling while you're at it. And also when you're not out wheeling, go and do your normal day-to-day operations with a vehicle that on the weekend can transform into just a great time machine. So, conclusion, I think all of these have extreme merit and potentially extreme fun attached to them. And because of their small footprint, their lightweight, their ease of parking, have huge implications for the ownership experience besides just off-roading them or besides doing a recreational trip with them.